Welcome once again to Business Matters. At this time, we are going to be focusing on past CSEC POB, past paper questions that relate to the syllabus area of production. And so we have selected questions from 2018 to 2021. So now I want us to understand that production, the area of production, will be assessed in the 2022 examination. And therefore, we want to provide enough practice for our students and to appreciate the structure and format of the likely presentation of questions in this area. All right, so let's begin. So May-June 2018 question 3 says, A, define each of the following terms. 1, production. It is the process or method of growing or converting raw materials into finished goods and services. Let me do that again. So production is the process or method of growing or converting raw materials into finished goods and services to satisfy the needs and wants of people. Secondly, productivity. We are asked to define productivity. Now, productivity refers to the amount of output that can be produced from a given level of input. So, B, identify 2 factors that can affect the supply of labor to a business. And the answer we've given: 1, the size and structure of the population. So if the population is small, then it will affect the amount of persons who can be employed or be at work. Secondly, the structure of the population. If the population is predominantly young children under or who are minors, then that will affect production, as well as if the population is aging or aged, it means that less persons would be available to work. Secondly, second factor, the number of persons trained or qualified. So when we have trained and qualified workers, then we increase numbers of trained and qualified workers. That will improve the labor supply. They have asked us for 2 factors, but we have given 3. Migration is another factor that can affect labor supply or supply of labor. Now, large movement of qualified workers to reside and work in other countries. So when people migrate, yes, qualified persons migrate to other countries to work, then this will affect the supply of labor to any business. Section C, describe 2 factors that can influence the productivity of labor. That is, we are to describe 2 factors that can influence the productivity of labor. What is the answer? Well, the first factor we have presented here is the motivation of staff. The more motivated employees are, the more committed, hardworking, and diligent they will be to their work. And that will increase productivity. Secondly, the level of education and training of the workers, yes, will improve the quality of the workers' output. And we have provided a third factor, that is the level and quality of machinery. Now, the more capital intensive a business becomes, the more productive it will be. Now we're asked to look at the difference, D, to differentiate between subsistent production and the domestic production. So we're to differentiate between subsistent production and domestic production. Let's look at the response that I've given here. So in response to that question, it may be phrased this way. Subsistent production is when persons provide goods and services for themselves and their family, while domestic production is where goods and services are produced for the local market. So we would have completed 2018 sample question. Let's go to 2019. Question that is asked here, question 3.1, define the term production. Again, we're seeing that they have asked this question last time and they have asked it again. So it is an important concept, yes? Define the term production. The response to that question that I've given is, it is the process or method of growing or converting raw materials into finished goods and services to satisfy the needs and wants of people. All right, part 2 says we are to identify 2 factors of production other than capital used in the manufacture of goods and the provision of service. So what are they asking of us? To identify 2 factors of production other than capital. So let's see. The other factors here are land, labor, and enterprise. So you could choose any from the 3 presented, any 2 from the 3 presented. Section B, the question is define the term capital. Very important question term to know. Yes, define the term capital. And a response given here is, this is the resources invested in the business by the owner or owners to aid the production process, and it may be in the form of assets, that is building, machines, motor vehicle, or in the form of cash or other monetary instruments. So one needs to note that capital is not just cash or money, but it can also be assets. B2, differentiate between fixed capital and working capital, and we're asked to give an example of each. Let's see what is presented here, what answers we give here. And we're looking at fixed capital. Now, fixed capitals capital are those assets that are what now? Used in the production process to create goods and services. Example, plant and machine. So we have given the definition or the explanation of what is fixed capital, and we have given examples, right? So fixed capital are those assets that are used in the production process to create goods and services. So fixed capital or fixed assets are really in the business to support the daily operation of the business. So the plant and the machine are two examples. Working capital. Now, working capital are those short-term assets that are turned over fairly quickly in the course of daily business activities. So working capital has to do with those assets or those items that will be used in the day-to-day operation of the business. Our example, cash, money at the bank, or the stock of raw materials or finished goods. So we are now question section C. Outline one benefit of the growth of a company to each of the following group. Let me go that again. Outline one benefit of the growth of a company to each of the following. So, how does the growth of a company affects customers? And the response I've given here is that as the company grows, yes, they may be able to take advantage of economy of scale, thus producing at a cheaper price, yes, per unit. The customers will benefit from more affordable prices for goods and services. So the point I'm making here is that how does the customer benefit? When the business is growing, then there is a greater chance that the business is taking advantage of economies of scale. That means they are producing in greater quantities and with better productivity skills. Hence, with that taking place, they will be producing the goods at a cheaper rate per unit, and therefore it will reach the customer at a more affordable cost. So let's go again and let's look at, there's an additional one that we want to, we have an additional response here. Greater efficiency in production. Greater efficiency in production as the company grows will mean greater quality of service to the customer. So if the company is growing, then there will be greater efficiency in their production, and therefore greater quality of goods and services that will be reaching the customer or the consumer. So the second a group that we're asked to speak to is shareholders. If the business improve or increase, how it will impact the shareholders? Well, growth in the company means greater profits. Thus, the shareholders will obtain more return on their investment. Yes, the investment and the dividends. All right, so let me go at it again. Growth in the company means greater profits. Therefore, thus the shareholders will obtain more return on their investment. Right? The dividends they'll increase in the amount of dividends that is paid out to them, and there will be an increase in the value of the company share price. Section D of the question. explain two ways in which productivity may be advantageous to a business. Let's go again. Explain two ways in which productivity may be advantageous to a business. All right. The first response given here is that greater productivity may lead to surplus goods being produced. All right. So if there is greater productivity, what will happen is that you're going to have surplus, likelihood of surplus goods being produced, and that means the company or the business can export these goods and earn more profit for the company. Now, we've given an additional response. With increased productivity, mass production can take place, increasing sales volume and profits, as well as the business can gain dominance in the marketplace. So we have given an additional response to the question we've been asked only to state two. We have given three responses to the question. So we're moving now to 2021. So you see we have finished 2019, 2018 and 2019. We're now looking at 2021. January 2021. This paper was also assessing production. So let's look at what the question is. Define the term factors of production. So they are asked now to define the term factors of production. What is our response? These are resources that are combined or brought together in the production process to create goods and services. So the factors of production are really resources that are brought together or they are combined in the production process to create goods and services. 3132 says, list 4 factors of production. Pretty direct and simple question. List 4 factors of production. And all of you should be able to recall these: land, labor, capital, and enterprise. Define the term extractive production. What is meant by extractive production? Let's see the answer. This involves the removal of resources or raw materials supplied naturally from the earth. Now, it is either above or below the earth's surface. So, extractive production, yes, is the removal of resources or raw material from the earth in its natural form. So, for example, we're moving bauxite, we're moving oil from the earth, we're moving coal, we're moving asphalt. Those things have been moved from the earth. When the farmer picks the fruits from the tree, the orange, the mango, yes, the papaya, these are being removed in their natural forms from the soil or from the earth. Yams and bananas, yes, these are natural, that is been pulled from the earth. Let's go to B. Identify 2 industries that could be developed from agricultural produce in the Caribbean. So, as a result of agriculture, what are some byproduct industries that can be spinned off from agricultural produce? Well, we think about food processing, that is now you're canning the food. Yes, so you can the fish, you can the ackee, yes, you can all of those products can be canned and stored and exported. Yes, so the food processing industry, the manufacturing industry also, yes, benefits from the agricultural produce. So when we take the banana and we turned it into banana chips. Yes. When we take the orange and turn it into orange juice. Yes. The restaurants, when we take the food products, the yam, bananas, the chicken, the fish, and we prepare a meal. Yes. These are 3 industries. Note they have indicated 2, but for additional information, we always wish to give you extra information, yes, to assist in the process. Let's go to section C of this question. Outline 2 benefits of developing backward link industries. Let me read that again. Outline 2 benefits of developing backward linkage industries. So they're asking you to explain or to outline here, to state 2 benefits that may accrue from a business that seeks to develop their backward linkage. Now, it's very important to understand the difference between backward linkage and forward linkage. Now, a business is considered based on where it is in the type of production. If it is a secondary production, then backward will go into primary production, right? Moving from secondary production to primary production, yes, to access goods from the primary level, that will refer to as backward linkage. However, if I am operating a manufacturing business and I am connected to a retailing business or a distributing business, then that is forward linkage. So secondary level business is being linked with a tertiary level business, and so we have forward linkage. So backward linkage really means that's where you get your source materials from to produce in your business. So we're asked to outline 2 benefits of developing backward linkage industries. And one we have given here is that the business will be able to obtain more consistent supply of raw materials for production. Now, many businesses are unable to provide their own raw materials, and this may cause uncertainty. So the benefit here is that consistency of raw material to support the production. Second benefit here is that the business will have a sense of security and will be able to confidently produce their goods. They can honor their contractual commitment in being able to always meet the demand of their consumer customers. All right. Let's go to the last part of this question. 2021. It says, explain how 2 factors, yes, could affect the country's supply of labor. Explain how 2 factors could affect the country's supply of labor. Let's go. So our answer here is that an improvement in valuing and compensating labor. Yes. So we can see that if there is an improvement in valuing the services of the people and compensating them commensurately, then it will attract more people to want to remain in the country and to work. So increased wages will attract better skilled and qualified persons. Our next response here is migration and brain drain. Now this also will impact, yes, because when large numbers of the countries experience high-skilled workers leave the country to reside and work in other countries, this negatively impacts the supply of labor. Thus, there are less persons or less people able to continue the production in the country. So we have given to you Yes, two factors that could affect labor supply. There's a third one that we have also given, which is access to education and training. Now, when much of the citizens cannot afford higher education and training, then there will be a short supply of labor in areas that require highly trained and skilled persons. So we provided three factors. Yes, another additional one has been given. So we have just finished the January 2021 question. Let's move into May, June 2021 question. And the first question, A, is distinguish between subsistent level of production and domestic level of production. You would have seen it in another question previously. So it's an important concept. Yes. Our response here, subsistent level of production, is where just enough is produced to satisfy a person's basic needs. People usually produce goods and services only for themselves and family, while the domestic level of production, yes, with domestic level of production, goods and services are produced for the local market. What do we mean by that? Goods are produced only for the people within the borders of the country. Yes, in the communities and towns and cities. So the local market speaks to all the persons within the borders of the country. Yes, may have access to these goods. Now B, section B says, list 3 characteristics of a cottage industry. Very important industry in our Caribbean countries. 1, it is usually labor intensive. That's one characteristic. 2, it is home based. And 3, it is small scale. It is small scale production. So most times it's small scale production. In Jamaica we talk about backyard gardening. Yes. So section C to the question says, state 3 functions of business. State 3 functions of small businesses in rural communities. I think this question is a very good question. State 3 functions of small businesses in rural community. So what the examiner wants to know is, how do you think the small business impact on the communities? No. Firstly, we're saying it creates employment. Small business will create employment in the communities. It provides personalized and customized service to the people in the community. Well, you'll all know that the shops and stores and those small businesses in the community, everybody, the owner knows everybody and have a greater personal relationship with the customers. We have given a third response now, which says it provides goods in very small and convenient packages best suited for the people, and it is affordable. So in these small businesses, they are able to break down the goods into the proportion that is acceptable and needed by the consumers or by the people within the community. State 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages of small businesses. Let's look at the advantages. So 1 is that it maintains advantage that the small business maintain good relationship with the customers. 2, it provides employment. Let's look at disadvantages. The difficulty to get financing to start and expand the business. That is always a challenge for small businesses, yes? And 2, not enough expertise in some areas, because most times these small businesses are operating terms in the form of sole proprietorship, and therefore that individual may not be skilled in all of the areas that are required to improve the business and to manage the business well. Let's go to the last question for that last part of this question rather. The owner of a business, manufacturing business, let me go again. The owner of a small manufacturing business is considering expanding her firm. Explain two possible effects the firm's growth may have on internal operations of the business. Or answer, the organizational structure. So one internal area that will be affected by this expansion would be the internal structure will change or expand as more people are employed. Therefore, a wider span of control will exist, means more workers reporting to one supervisor. And then we come to the second response, and that is the business will have more functional areas, yes, as more specialized job tasks are introduced. So most times as businesses expand, they have to break down the job functions, yes, and so it will now require more specialized workers, not so much generalized workers as it will be specialized workers to accomplish the task. We have given a third response, and that is there will be greater need for technological system to ensure better internal communication and decision making. Because the organization gets large, they will need to deploy greater technological systems that will ensure internal communication becomes effective and assist with decision making. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So we have just gone through a set of past paper questions relating to production, the area of the syllabus relating to production. I hope that it was useful and it will aid in your preparation for your exam. If you like this video, please click the like button and share the video. And if the content you feel is good and is helpful, please click the subscribe button. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.